All right, welcome. Today we're diving deep into one of the most critical ideas in the entire lean philosophy, the 7 types of waste, also known as Muda. And stick with me because we're going to learn how to spot all that inefficiency that's hiding in plain sight in pretty much every single process we touch.
So let's just start with a really striking idea. What if I told you that for most business processes, only about 5% of what you do actually adds any real value for the customer? Think about that for a second. That means a staggering 95% of the work is essentially waste. And that's exactly what this explainer is all about, giving you the tools to finally see that 95% and, more importantly, start getting rid of it.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get a solid handle on what Muda actually is. Then, we're going to jump into the 7 types of waste using a super handy acronym, TIMWOOD. After that, we'll talk about how you can actually spot this stuff in the real world, and we'll finish up by looking at all the amazing benefits you get when you go lean.
So, first things first, what is Muda? Let's talk about this hidden drain on your resources. So Muda, it's a Japanese word, and it basically means waste or futility. But in the world of lean, it's way more specific. It's any activity that eats up your resources, your time, your money, your materials, but creates absolutely no value from the customer's point of view. You know, if a customer isn't willing to pay for it, it's Muda. It's all that effort we put into things the customer never sees, never feels, and in the end gets zero benefit from.
You know, this whole powerful concept wasn't just dreamed up in some comfy boardroom. Nope, it was actually born out of pure necessity in post-World War II Japan. See, Toyota was facing just extreme resource shortages, so they had to get incredibly efficient to survive. And right at the heart of their revolutionary new system, the Toyota Production System, or TPS, was this relentless, obsessive hunt to eliminate waste. And the engineer who really formalized it all was the legendary Taiichi Ohno.
Okay, this is the core of what we're talking about today. It's time to introduce your new lens for seeing all this inefficiency.
And that lens is an acronym, TIMWOOD. Honestly, this simple acronym is going to completely change how you look at your work. Each letter stands for one of the 7 classic types of waste. And I'm telling you, once you learn this, you won't be able to unsee it. You'll start spotting these wastes everywhere, from the factory floor to your own desk. It is a total game changer.
So let's start with T for transportation. This is all about the unnecessary movement of stuff, materials, products, even information. Just picture it. A pallet of parts gets moved from one side of the factory to a warehouse, then back to the assembly line. Every single one of those moves adds zero value to the customer. It just introduces risk of damage, causes delays, and burns energy. It's pure waste.
Okay, next up is I for inventory. This means any stock you have that's more than what you need. Like right now. We're talking piles of raw materials, half-finished goods, or a warehouse just packed with unsold products. And you know, a lot of people see inventory as this cozy safety net, right? But in the world of lean, it's a massive problem. It ties up your cash, it takes up space, and, this is the worst part, it can actually hide a ton of other issues, like quality problems.
All right, on to M for motion. Now, don't get this confused with transportation. Transportation is about moving things. Motion is about moving people. Think about an operator having to walk all the way across the room to get a specific tool, or you having to bend down and search through a low cabinet. All those extra steps, all that reaching and searching, it's wasted time, it causes fatigue, and it just grinds down personal efficiency.
Next is W for waiting. This one is probably the easiest waste to spot, right? It's just idle time. Any time that people, machines, or materials are just sitting around, not working. It could be a worker waiting for parts to show up, or you staring at your screen waiting for a slow system to load. Waiting is the absolute enemy of a smooth workflow, and it's a huge source of frustration and lost productivity.
Okay, the first O in TIMWOOD is for overproduction. And listen up, because this is widely considered the worst waste of them all. Why? Because it's the one that causes most of the others. When you make more of something than is needed, or you make it too soon, well, what happens? You've just created a bunch of inventory, right? Which then has to be transported and stored. It's a domino effect of waste, all starting here.
The second O is for overprocessing. This is basically doing more work on something than the customer actually requires or values. It's the classic case of unnecessary perfectionism. You know, polishing a part of a machine that no one will ever see, or spending hours creating a super detailed 50-page report when all your boss wanted was a 1-page summary. It's all that extra effort spent on things that, ultimately, just don't matter to the customer.
And that brings us to the last letter, D for defects. This one's pretty straightforward, right? Every time you have to fix an error, rework a product, or just throw something in the scrap bin, that's a defect, and the impact is huge. It's not just the extra cost and the production delays, it's the damage it does to your customers' trust, and that can be the most expensive waste of all.
So that's the classic 7. But in more modern lean thinking, a bonus 8th waste has been added, and it's a big one: unused employee creativity. Think about it. The people who are closest to the work, they almost always know how to make it better. So failing to tap into their ideas and insights, well, that is a colossal waste.
All right, so now you know what to look for, but knowing what waste is, that's only half the battle. Now we've got to figure out how to put that knowledge into action.
And there are 2 really key tools for this. The first is called a Gemba walk. Gemba is just a Japanese term for the actual place. So a Gemba walk literally means getting up from your desk, going to where the work is actually being done, and just observing. The second big tool is value stream mapping. This is where you create a visual map of your entire process from start to finish. It's an incredible way to see exactly which steps are adding value and which ones are just waste. So you might be thinking, okay, this sounds like a lot of work. Why does eliminating all this waste actually matter? Well, let's talk about the payoff.
And honestly, the payoff is huge. You're not just looking at significant cost savings, you're also going to see improved quality, which leads to happier customers. Your whole process gets faster, so delivery times shrink. And, maybe most importantly, your employees become more engaged and morale goes up because they're part of the solution. All of this together gives you an absolutely powerful competitive advantage.
And that really brings us to the most important point. Lean Six Sigma isn't just a collection of tools you pull out of a toolbox, it's a mindset. It's about building a culture of continuous improvement, where every single person on the team feels empowered to make things better every single day. It really is a journey, not just a destination.
So, I want to leave you with a question. Now that you have this Tim Wood lens, what's the first waste you're going to hunt for in your own work? When you go back to your desk or your workstation, which one will you spot first? Is it the waiting? The extra motion? Finding that first target? Well, that's your first step.
Thank you for watching. If this video helped you understand the 7 types of Muda, please give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to turn on the bell so you never miss our next Six Sigma lesson. We'll see you in the next one.